Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome along to another episode of the Sunderland Football Chat from RWA Productions. And yes, guys, there's a few announcements from the club what I'm going to bring you guys. So apparently Danny Batth could be leaving out to Blackburn Rovers, and apparently he could be leaving Sunderland on a free, in fact. So we'll be getting into that very soon. Christian Speakman refuses to decide about Ross Stewart about the bids, but apparently he wants to stay at the club. Ross Stewart, he says, but a contract has to be agreed. That's another thing that we need to talk about. Ellis Simms' update that apparently joining Sunderland is looking very unlikely to happen because Everton set his transfer bid to £10 million to sign him. And obviously Sunderland announced Chris Rigg scholarship for 2 years. So we're going to get into the statements from the club, or kind of like from the Chronicle, and I'm going to tell you about them. So, Christian Speakman refuses to discuss bid for Ross Stewart, but says the striker wants to stay. Sunderland striker Ross Stewart is keen to stay on the side of Christian Speakman, although a new contract has to be agreed. Christian Speakman has refused to say whether Sunderland have reached any bids for Ross Stewart, but insists that Scott would like to stay. Stewart's future has been up in the air for 12 months for the club so far, unable to agree on a new contract with a star striker. Conversations between the club and Stewart's representatives began last summer as his goals powered the club to promotion from League One in the Scottish Giants Glasgow Road Rangers, expressing interest in him at that time. Injury severely disrupted his first year in the Championship, with a 26-year-old available for a little more than a quarter of the campaign. Nelly scored 10 goals in just 13 league appearances before his season was cut short by a ruptured Achilles tendon in January, and he will not be fit when the new season begins next month. Stewart's original contract was due to expire this summer, but no new deal has been agreed, but the club exercised its option to extend his stay for a further 12 months. Although that merrily kicked the can down the road. As far as the bids for Stewart are concerned, sporting director Speakman is playing his cards close to his chest, although he feels that the message he is getting from the players' camp, all parties can be agreed. We're not getting into whether we've had bids, said Speakman, totally athletic. That's our private business. So that's on Ross Stewart, guys. So I think Ross Stewart wants to stay at the club. But obviously a contract has to be agreed on that. So the next statement we're going to talk about is obviously we're going to talk about Danny Batth. And apparently Danny Batth could be credible, but Sunderland will not let him leave on a free. So Sunderland defender Danny Batth has emerged as summer transfer target for Tony Mowbray's old side Blackburn Rovers. Although the Black Cats have no reason to sell, a report over the weekend claimed Rovers were keen on the 32-year-old, and our sister title Langs Live says it's understandable that it's some credibility to the link. But Batth was a key figure for Sunderland last season, starting the 39 out of 46 championship games before a knee injury cut short his season in April. Batth joined Sunderland from Stoke City in January 2022, signing an 18-month contract, which will have expired this summer, but the club triggered an extension last season, which means that he still has another year to run on his contract. Langs Live says Sunderland would have been willing to let Batth leave for nothing for a deal to be viable, and that will appear to be a non-starter given that the Black Cats opted to extend the player's contract for another 12 months. Injuries including Batth left Sunderland without any specialist centre-backs for the final stages of the season. The club addressed that area during the transfer window, saying Dutchman Jensen Cleese from PSV Eindhoven, an Australian under-23 international, and exterior strikers from Central Coast Mariners. In addition, Daniel Ballard should be fit for the start of the season, although Ajay Alessi will be out of action for a while longer. But Batth brings some much-needed experience to the heart of the defence, and head coach Mowbray will not want one of the mainstays of last season's side to leave, particularly with another experienced central defender, Bailey Wright, having already departed for their part. Blackburn are looking to strengthen their own central defence area, with Director of Football Greg Broughton reportedly looking at a number of options to replace former Middlesbrough defender Daniel Ayer, who left Inglewood Park last summer. So that's on Danny Batth. Next will be on Ellis Sims. So, according to the Northern Echo, a Sunderland return for Ellis Sims this summer is looking increasingly unlikely, with Everton hoping interest from several Championship clubs will spark a bidding war, and the Premier League club looking for much as 10 million for the striker. Don't even think he's worth 10 million, to be fair. Sims impressed on loan at Sunderland in the first half of last season before he was recalled by Everton in January window as the Toffees battled against Premier League relegation. Having survived on the final day, Sean Dyche is now looking to make the most of his first full summer in charge and attempting to strengthen his squad to avoid another season of struggle at the bottom of the division. Adding to the forward line as a priority, which will push Sims down the pecking order. And with the Toffees entering the final 12 months of his contract at Goodison Park, the Toffees are believed to be open of letting the 22-year-old move on. But he won't come cheap, with the report from Merseyside saying the Premier League club value him between 7 million and 10 million. That sort of fee is likely to debt a Championship club as well. While Sunderland will keep an eye on Sims' situation, the Black Cats have no interest whatsoever in engaging a bidding war with their league rivals. Ipswich Town planning their first season back in the Championship with money to spend. Swansea City and Coventry City, who are likely to have replaced Victor Gyökeres this summer, are all keen on Sims, who has scored 7 goals in 17 appearances for Sunderland last season. Sporting Lisbon are desperately trying to sign through a deal to sign Gyökeres, and are set to make an offer of 18.5 million. Plus significant add-ons, but Coventry are holding out at least 20 million. Everton, ironically, have also made an interest in this guy, Blue striker. Sunderland added to their forward line with the capture of teenager striker Lewis Semedo last month, but with Ross Stewart unlikely for the start of the season, boss Tony Mowbray still wants another senior striker through the door before the Championship champion gets underway. He said, "I'm hoping there's still a few more faces to come in through the building, and we could probably do with some help up the top end of the pitch. If you think Ross isn't quite ready yet, then we've only got a young Hemo Lewis Semedo, but he's still a boy and it's still got a burden for him to be the only senior striker we've got. We could probably do with some help at the top end of the pitch over the next few weeks, and I'm sure we're working very hard behind the scenes on that." So that's off Ellis Sims and about the Gyökeres and everyone else. So, last one I want to bring you is Sunderland announcing Chris Rigg will see on Wearside as new Academy scholar intake is confirmed. So, Sunderland DSC have confirmed Academy scholar Chris Rigg is signing a new deal on Wearside, despite interest from neighbours Newcastle United and Premier League giants Manchester United. The midfielder was included on a 9-strong list of youngsters who have accepted a 2-year scholarships with Sunderland and who will form the core of Adam Asgar's side for the upcoming under-18 season. Heaven-born Rigg joined Sunderland's academy while at primary school and has risen through the ranks, but could have still left this summer after turning 16. A clutch of clubs has been monitoring the England's youth international, including the Red Devils in Newcastle, with members of Rigg's family known to be the Magpies. But Rigg has already got a taste of first-team football by Sunderland, becoming the youngest first outfield player, which when he's made his debut of 15 years and 203 days in the club's FA Cup third-round tie at Shrewsbury Town in January. And he feels that he could have more opportunities to play first-team football with the Black Cats and move into a Premier League side. Had Rigg left this summer, Sunderland would have received only minimal compensation under the Elite Player Performance Plan. As its next step for Sunderland will be after his first professional deal, which we can do when he turns 17 next June. And if that stage he opts to move on, and if the clubs are able to agree a financial package, the compensation will be set to be a tribunal, and the Black Cats will receive a much higher figure, with some similar situations of attractive at 7-figure valuations. So that is very interesting from the club, guys. Very interesting what I've just heard there. Please subscribe to the channel, guys, if you can. Please like this video. I know it's very early, so many people won't be still up, but I think I've brought this out to you guys, so it was a bit earlier for everyone. Also, the away kit's been leaked. You can see that on the channel thumbnail. If you can't, it's purple, obviously, if you can see it. So, right, guys, we're going to go now, and we'll speak to you later. Please subscribe to the channel. Please like what you're liking so far from me. I know I'm a bit boring at times, but I've got autism. I can't help it. So take care. Goodbye for now, and we'll see you again soon.